You are listening to the only show where a former police officer, alongside a current law school student, tackle politics, the legal system, and corruption. The show known around the world as Qualified Immunity.
And here we go. Welcome to Qualified Immunity.
I love that opening.
Oh,
Here we go.
Here we go. And here, you know why I think that?
Why?
Because, it's that moment of time of going, Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
That's why. That's exactly why. And here we go. That's just it. Trigger warning, content warning. This is about to get real angry real quick. Because I'm about to point out some hypocrisy that is going to piss some people off. Just fair warning, it's going to piss people off. I know it is. They're going to call me out. They're going to be like, oh, you're a bastard for saying that. You're this. You don't care about this kid. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. I do care about this kid, and I care deeply about what happened to him. I also understand the political chess game going on and how there are certain groups and certain factions that are trying to discredit certain movements to ensure that they do not have a direct correlative effect on their election in November. So, we're going to talk about hashtag say his name and hashtag Justin for Cannon. Now, here's the trick to this. If you do not know the story, Cannon Hinnett was murdered in the middle of the street by a black man. That's the easiest way to put that. He was shot in the middle of the street by a black man while he was riding his bike. He's 5 years old, and what everybody initially came out and started saying was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. The national media is not covering this. The national media, which is a blatant lie.
Yeah.
It's a blatant lie. The national media did cover this. And if you look at the UK, it's like, well, the national media, the US media had to get guilted into it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not true at all.
Yeah.
This was covered. But this was a post that somebody sent me, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I'm seeing a lot of my white conservative friends posting hashtag justice for Cannon and hashtag say his name, asking why this case isn't receiving national attention. In an attempt to show bias in the media, discredit the attention of the Black Lives Matter movement, and change the narrative. Yes, it's a very sad, unfortunate story. It's heartbreaking. But what are you looking to prove? What justice are you demanding? There's a full manhunt for his killer, who was then charged with murder with no bond within 24 hours of the shooting. Not weeks, not months, one day. That's the whole premise behind the BLM movement. Because a black man, Ahmaud Arbery, was attacked and shot by multiple white men, and no arrests were made until 3 months later, and only after national attention, petitions, and marches. Stop trying to act oppressed. You want to demand justice? Demand justice for Breonna Taylor. A black woman, an EMT working during the pandemic, who was killed in her sleep by police despite not having committed a crime, whose killers have not been arrested, even though 5 months later, her petition has 10 million plus signatures and still no justice.
And it's been how long? 150?
Probably 150 days.
It's more than that. It's closer to 160, I think.
It's...
March 13th?
Yeah, March 13th. Breonna Taylor was killed on March 13th. Because it was the day the world shut down.
Yeah. And still no one has been charged, right?
No, there's been some people fired, but not charged. I mean, that's just
156 days.
Mm-hmm. So before anybody gets all up in their feelings about this, and oh, Greg's an asshole, and oh, Greg's this is not the same thing.
No, it's not.
You want to talk about what's different? Let's talk about what's different. Tamir Rice is closer to the same thing.
Mm.
You know who got charged in that? Nobody.
The officer wasn't even charged.
No, the officer was never charged because he had an airsoft gun.
Right. I remember that now. Everybody who investigated it said, "Oh, this is justified," because he had a reasonable belief.
Like, if you don't know the Tamir Rice story, Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old African-American boy who was carrying an airsoft pellet gun at the time he was fatally shot by a Cleveland police officer in November 2014. The Cleveland Division of Police eventually deemed the shooting, quote, reasonable and within guidelines, unquote. The officer, Timothy Lohman, was eventually fired for lying on a portion of his hiring application, not for the deadly shooting. This is not the same thing. And everybody wants to say it is. Look, the murder of Cannon Hyatt, I believe that's how you say it, Hinnett. I'm going to say it's Hinnett. The murder of Cannon Hinnett was despicable. It was disgusting. It was ridiculous. However, to compare this in the remote aspect to George Floyd and Steven Crowder, you can know where I think you can go shove it with your George Floyd review. With that being said, I will say the same thing I said, on a previous episode. Hey, Crowder, you want to come on? You want to have me on? Let's go. We'll argue about George Floyd. Because you've been a media your entire life and never strapped on a duty belt. So, we'll argue about George Floyd. But this is not the same thing as George Floyd. This is not the same thing as Breonna Taylor. This is not the same thing as Tamir Rice. This is not the same thing as Amon Bundry. I'm going to screw his name up. I always get it. But this is not the same thing. This isn't even close to the same thing. It's not on the same level. It's not in the same sphere. It's not even close. I understand that a person shot a 5-year-old boy in broad daylight. A manhunt ensued. He was arrested and charged with murder. Arrested and charged. And you could probably vouch for this in the legal system. Arrested and charged and have a bond hearing within 24 hours.
It's pretty quick.
That's quick.
It's pretty quick.
So that being said, he was arrested, he was charged, and he had a bond hearing within 24 hours and was denied bond. What did you say, 156 days?
Yep.
It's been 156 days since Breonna Taylor was murdered, and everybody knows who murdered her, and a couple of them have been fired. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's been charged. Nobody's even come close to seeing a courtroom.
Yeah.
And all evidence points to, at the very basis of the Breonna Taylor incident, the facts on the warrant application were bullshit.
Yeah.
At the very basis.
Not just bullshit, outdated bullshit.
I would go so far to call them lies.
Probably, yeah. I don't think that's unwarranted.
Because later in an interview, one of the police officers involved in the Breonna Taylor search warrant that led to her death said they knew that the person they were looking for on the warrant was already in custody in an adjoining jurisdiction. And the sad part is, there's a story out there, and I can't think of who it is, and this is how washed the media is. There's a story out there of a young black boy being shot and killed almost the exact same way Cannon Hinnett was. And they started GoFundMe for his family, and I think it raised like $2,000.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And the irony is I went to try and find that story and I can't find it. I know it's close to the same thing. Like, he was riding his bike, he was about 5 or 6 years old, and he was shot in the middle of the street. And when I first got told that, and I thought about that, I thought it was Tamir Rice. But Tamir Rice was shot because he was carrying an airsoft gun. And everybody's going to... I know what people are going to say. I know what people in that community are going to say. Well, we deal with a lot of kids nowadays who are carrying real guns. No. Okay. I understand that. But you're telling me you think every 12-year-old boy is carrying a real gun? Like, let's get real here. And for the last time, and this is the last time I'm going to say this during this episode, I do not think Cannon Hyatt's murder should not be taken seriously, and I do not think that the person who committed the murder should be held accountable for it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying by hijacking a hashtag, you're being a hypocrite. Because it's not the same thing. It's not even close.
Yep.
It took... How long did it take for Derek Chauvin to get charged for George Floyd's murder? 2 weeks?
I don't know if it was that long. I mean, I thought it was shorter than that.
I don't know. It was more than 24 hours. I mean, I can promise you it was more than 24 hours. And that is the moment in time of going, it was on camera, it was recorded, and everybody, most people outside of Steven Crowder and a couple of his friends that are pandering to a certain audience,
yeah,
understand you can't kneel on somebody's neck for 8.5 minutes and call it justified. We have gotten to a point to where doublespeak is wholeheartedly a thing.
Yeah, it's 1984.
Doublespeak at this point is a thing. And people don't want to comprehend that. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to say it's a reality. But it's okay. It's almost to the point of it's okay if thy do it, but it's not okay if thine doesn't.
Yeah.
If you were participating in the hijacking of a hashtag, you're a hypocrite. Because guess what? If national media didn't have a hold of this, you wouldn't know about it. You wouldn't know about it. Well, you had to pressure national media for about 12 seconds. We've got 10 million signatures on a petition to get Breonna Taylor's murderers charged, and we're not getting anywhere. Like, we've requested body cam footage 3 times about Duncan Limp, and we're not getting anywhere. Outside of $100,000 to sue somebody, we're not getting anywhere.
You're really not helping my. You're really being depressing right now.
We're not getting anywhere.
No, we aren't.
10 million signatures.
And we still can't get.
And you still can't get charges. What's the grounds for probable cause in a criminal case? I'm serious. What's the grounds for probable cause in a criminal case?
Probable cause that a crime has been committed and that the...
On a scale of 0% to 100%, what's the grounds for charges?
Officially or in actuality?
Both.
Well, depending on who you ask, it ranges somewhere between 20 and 40%.
In actuality?
Probably closer to like 5 to 10.
You have to be breathing and been in the general vicinity for a probable cause.
Yeah.
Let's just get honest here. breathing in the general vicinity and probable cause is established.
Yeah.
Okay, breathing in the general vicinity and somebody pointed at you. There's probable cause.
Yeah.
Probable cause to get charges filed is such a low threshold that it's effing astounding. It's astounding what probable cause is.
And it's a disgrace that it hasn't been done already for Breonna Taylor.
Or Tamir Rice.
Or Tamir Rice.
But Breonna Taylor is the one that, or Duncan Lemp. I'm not keeping this singular to a skin color. Duncan Lemp was murdered too.
And the only reason that they have not been charged yet is because they're cops.
It's 100% the reason.
That's the only reason.
It's 100% the reason. Because they were in the course of their duties. It's not the same thing. Stop trying to hide. Like, how disrespectful can you be that you were trying to hijack the homicide of a 5-year-old to fit your political purposes? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is beyond palatable.
They were charged in a day. One day.
Found, arrested, alive, mind you. Because I'll say this right here now. If I don't even know the guy's name that shot Cannon. But if he had shot a cop, he wouldn't have made it to court. Found, taken into custody alive, charged, which means actual charges filed and a bond appearance in less than 24 hours. I'm white, and I'll say it. There's your white privilege. And I saw a bunch of right-wing pages today, in the last couple of days, sharing stories of his mom seeking the death penalty, and she made some passionate plea on Facebook, and I get it. If somebody killed my child, if somebody had killed my child in that manner, and I saw it, like Cannon's parents saw it, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. There wouldn't be a court date. And I don't give a shit what weapon you give me. If it's my bare hands or a kitchen spoon, I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody kills my child like that, there's not a freaking court date. There's not a manhunt.
Yeah.
There's a double homicide. At what point do you look up and you go, this is insane? This is not the same. This is apples and oranges on a good day and absolute hypocrisy on a bad day. And are you kidding me, Karen? Well, you're just trying to minimize the death of a 5-year-old who was murdered by a thug in the middle of the street. No, I'm not. I'm trying to minimize the fact that you're trying to hijack a political movement that's actually going somewhere and doing something and trying to remove ridiculous laws on a system based off nothing but revenue to try and stop something because you're fucking afraid of it. Capiche? They are so afraid that Black Lives Matter, not even the actual organization, because the organization has its flaws.
Yeah.
The actual organization has its flaws.
Yeah.
The leadership has its flaws, and I'm going to take some heat for saying that, and I don't care.
I have some problem personally with the leadership. With
the leadership and the way the organization is structured and what they're trying to do and say they're trying to do, they have just as much of a disconnect from the people on the streets as the major parties do with the actual voters.
Yep.
It is unbelievable the disconnect that you see. Like, because I've told people this: go to a protest, go to a rally, go to whatever you want to call it, an organization of people, and go down there and talk to the people on the street. And it astounds me how many freaking Republicans are so afraid it's funny. Well, no, I'm going to show up and they're going to beat the hell out of me. Don't show up and threaten them. I was on the street with them.
Yeah.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
I have pictures of me in a protest walking through the streets with a shirt that says I can't breathe on it. The funny part was I was still a cop at the time. Seriously, what is the big issue of going to talk to other human beings? Quit being so afraid of everybody. Why are you afraid of them? Well, they rioted and burned it. Oh, shut up. Tim McVeigh blew up a federal building. Well, that was 25 years. And he was a right-wing extremist. You want to play a straw man argument? You want to play with fallacies? I will eat your fallacies for lunch and enjoy it, because fallacies are nothing but a moron's argument. Let me rephrase that. Fallacies and straw man arguments are nothing but a coward's way out of an intellectual debate. Period. If you are not going to go talk to the other side, you're a coward at best. No, like, you're a coward. You're just a coward. Not even at best. Like, you're a coward.
Why do you think they are scared to talk to him?
Because it's their way or the highway. Because for both of these sides, it's their way or the highway.
Okay.
Especially in leadership. But you get down to the street level, people on the left side of it happen to be way more accepting of people who disagree with them than anybody I've ever met in the right.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, not sorry? I don't know what else to say to that. I'm going, you get most Trump supporters, they're like, well, they want to take our guns, and they want to do this, and they want to do... Donald Trump has been the most anti-Second Amendment president in my lifetime. Lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take their guns, due process later. If a Democrat had said that, you rednecks would be rioting in the street with your AR-19s trying to start some shit. And yes, I'm going to get clipped later and be like, he called it an AR-19. I'm going to take my AR-15. We're going to stop the government from taking my guns. Well, where are you fucking cowards? I'll wait. You got a lot of mouth and not a lot of balls. You got a lot of this, a lot of talking. You don't have the stomach for the violence you think you can commit. The funny part is, I saw a right-wing guy post this on Facebook a couple months ago. What the people were doing in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, was more deep Tea Party-esque,
yep,
more Boston Tea Party-esque than anything the conservatives ever came up with.
Yep.
The Tea Party and the right-wingers were so concerned with talking about a revolution, they fucking forgot to start one. Well, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it through the system. The system's fucking you. And has been for decades.
Was it one of Reagan's campaign managers or something said, fuck the religious right, where are they going to go?
Mm-hmm.
Was that Reagan's?
It was, yeah, it was Reagan's. I was like, it was Reagan or Nixon. And it was Reagan's. Fuck the religious right. Where are they going to go? And the funny part is, you morons, and I say that genuinely, you morons voted for him because of Pence.
Yeah.
The only reason you voted for Donald Trump was because he had a good evangelical, won't eat lunch with other women vice president. Like, do you need a car? Because I sell cars now. Like, come see me. I'll give you a free copy of the Constitution and Bible with every new car bought. What? Tell me that's different than what actually happened.
I have a friend who used to do that, but her thing was always, if you promise to read them. Nobody ever read them.
I'm just...
She actually had some people give them back because they're like, yeah, I'm not going to actually read it.
The funny part is, a bunch of right-wingers that would ever listen to this, and I'm not either. I think you're stupid for picking sides to begin with. Like, see and anybody that watches this on video, you can see the sign over both of our shoulders. There's your non-side right there. It says Jorgensen for president. Because you're so trapped in political ideology, you won't actually think for yourselves. But what I think is ironic is any right-winger that ever watches this is going to get more offended by the fact that I have said fuck more than 6 times this episode. They're going to get more offended about the verbiage I use than they get offended about the fact that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, their daddy literally said, take their guns, figure out due process later. You cannot have an actual argument with me or a discussion with me or a debate with me when Donald Trump and Barack Obama are not really that different. Donald Trump is not that different than Barack Obama. Donald Trump is not that different than George Bush. Donald Trump is not that different than Bill Clinton. Donald Trump is not that different than George H.W. Bush. Donald Trump is not that different than Ronald Reagan. And all of you right-wingers still with us are currently jerking off because I just said that. That's not a good thing. It is beyond time for you to understand that your political ideology and your hard-on for a party is what will doom this country. As much as Lucas and I both hate Washington, George Washington, well, both Washingtons, George Washington and the city of Washington, D.C., Washington State, you're all right. Washington warned you about this. George Washington warned you about this. And 90% of you running around with MAGA hats on, saying, make America great again and keep America great and let's go back to the 50s, are nothing more than a bunch of sexist bigots on a good day who ignored the founders of this country anyway because you want your segregation and you want your 50s back. And the 50s are gone. They're not coming back. We're not going to give gay people, or people, members of the LGBTQ community, we're not going to put electrodes next to their brain and give them electroshock therapy to try and convince them to be straight. This is America. The first one's free. Okay. Make me happy. Go.
What do you want?
I don't know. I just... When I see Keep America Great, or Make America Great Again, what do you want to go back to? You said again. Like the hat says, Make America Great Again. What do you want to go back to? And I've had 3 or 4 of those hats. They got given to me like water when I was chairman of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Like they really did. Like everyone's like, here, I got a hat for you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Great. The only time I wore one was in Vegas. Like, honest to God, the only time I wore one was in Vegas. That's because I was standing next to it and like a fake Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this irony right now. And if I put it on Facebook, I'm like, here's some irony. People want to eat me up with it. I'm like, really? Do you not see the irony in this? I'm sitting outside the Bellagio and somebody that's pretending to be Trump that has like 90% of the details wrong. Like he has a red tie on with a polo. Oh, yeah. And he threw a jacket on. Yeah, it was actually a polo. He wasn't actually wearing a...
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Oh.
They said it could be anything.
So it became a disappointment. It's like, Sarah knew that. Like, you say that. They said I could be anything. I'm like, so I became a disappointment. Have you tried DMT?
No.
Oh.
The running gags we have on this show are so stupid.
They are, but they're funny. Oh, this is not the. Is this the same thing to you at all?
What the same thing?
Say his name. Is
No.
this it? Is this
No.
Because I get passionate about these things, and you know how I feel about Breonna Taylor.
You already have somebody charged. You had someone charged the first day.
Yeah, the first day.
It's not the same.
Because you know I have a jaded interest in Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I hide that.
But it's been
156 days.
It's been how many months now? 150 would be 5 months.
Yeah.
It's
No, 6.
6 months. No, 6 would be 180.
You're right. 100. You're right. 5.
150. It's been.
Because I've been in a hotel for almost 4.
It's been 5 months. We have had no one charged.
And the problem is there's not an investigation to do. You know who did it.
It's not the same. It's just not.
But why do they say it's the same? How do you come to the logical conclusion that it is the same?
Because they're idiots.
But
and they cannot make the comparison between someone's already been charged, someone hasn't.
The national media attention, one, it was already there, and two, if it's not there, it comes out of the fact that nobody got charged. Amon Bundy was the same way. It was on tape. 2 people chased him down and murdered him in cold blood, and it took months.
Yeah.
Just for charges. And everybody gets stuck on this. Well, he got charged, or they got charged, or yada yada yada. Charged does not mean convicted.
Oh. Lawyers are the worst about this. Let the justice system run its course. And that's terrible because you know what the outcome is. You know what it's going to be.
I think we've said this from day one, and I've been avoiding saying his name because I do not want to make him any more infamous than he already is. Derek Chauvin will walk.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. Derek Chauvin will walk.
Yep. And we both know it.
Because they overcharged the hell out of all of them.
Which was probably not a mistake.
No, that was 100% intentional because they redid the charges 3 times.
It's not the same.
It's not even close. It's not even close.
And the thing is, it's not just a racial issue. I mean, that's not the main thing. That's not the main problem.
It's a justice issue.
It's a justice issue, and yeah, it's a justice issue. That's probably the best way to describe it.
It's a justice issue. There's a bunch of old white men real happy right now. Because y'all are biting into their bullshit and eating it up. And I think you're crazy for it. Like, how do you not see what's going on right now? Seriously. How do you not see what's going on right now? I don't know what else. I don't know how else to phrase this. I don't know how else to make this. I don't know what it's going to take for somebody to look and be like, oh, yeah, Greg and Lucas, they're probably right.
I don't even require that much. I mean, just
act on it.
Just give it some thought.
quit being sheep. That's the new subtitle. I'm not kidding. That's the new subtitle for the show. Quit being sheep.
I know it's legitimately a lot of work to ask for some people, but please just
Think.
Please.
Just think. Like, it's not that difficult. At least I don't think it is. How do you not? I want you, every single controversial thing that ever comes up, I want you to look at the other side's argument and try and figure out why they believe what they believe. I don't think that's difficult. Do you? Maybe it is.
Well, I know a lot of people, if you tell them that, they're going to be like, oh, well, they just want socialism. Which is not, that's not...
And most people that say that are boomers, and boomers are the most socialist generation in American history.
Try to actually put yourself in there.
Until you're willing to give up Social Security, stop fucking talking about socialism. Seriously. Because let's get real honest. If you don't want to give it up, that means you didn't prepare well enough for it. When you had the greatest buying power in the history of American history. So the boomers that will actually look up and say, okay, I'll give up Social Security. You know why they'll say that? Because they planned for it. They have a retirement account.
Yeah.
They know they're taken care of. Most that won't, that's because you were lazy and you counted on it to be your retirement end-all be-all. By
the way, you got screwed by Social Security.
Which wholeheartedly honestly makes you just as socialist as anybody you're going to claim.
Yeah. All of us, including boomers, got screwed by Social Security.
Yes, because it's been robbed from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
Well, the other thing is, if you had actually invested that money in anything,
oh yeah, you'd be
worlds ahead.
You'd be worlds ahead. So I'm done listening to boomers scream about socialists until you're willing to give up Social Security and Medicaid, just for the record, and Medicaid. Well, I earned that Social Security. I put into it. And you got robbed. And now you want some of your robbery back. Theft. I was trying not to use that word.
I know it's been a while.
I was trying not to use that word. I'm just saying, like, until you want to stop, you cannot talk about socialism because, in all honesty, you're never going to get back what you put in. Which is the essence of socialism. Everybody contributes, and you don't get a guaranteed return. So, until you're going to stop talking about Social Security, okay, until you give up Social Security and you're willing to have that conversation, and shortly after that's Medicaid, literally 0.7 seconds after that it's Medicaid, shut up. You're the most socialist generation in history. What?
Well, we're talking about boomers. This housing market isn't the result of 40 years of my voting, nor is this monetary policy.
He's right.
It's not my fault.
And
but you're still going to blame me, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you're
it's all the young kids' fault. They're entitled and they're this. I work 70 hours a week.
Yeah, but we're lazy and have no work ethic.
We're lazy and have no work ethic. And if we'd all just go to college and shut up and do our jobs and spend our time, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Did you get offended? Go grab your cane and shut the fuck up again. I work 70 hours a week. And I have most of my adult life. And there are days that we have barely scraped by.
Yep.
Well, I remember my first part-time job. Shut the fuck up. You hijack movements just like you hijacked this one. Your monetary policy and your ridiculous policing and morality is the entire reason we're in the spot we're in right now where we can't do a damn thing about it. You made a bunch of laws that disproportionately affected poor people, and you knew it when you made them, one. And two, you knew most of the poor people at the time you made them were what? The different color than you are. Because you know what's funny? Go look at most of the motor vehicle code of the state of Oklahoma. You know when it was passed?
I'm guessing in the 60s.
Between 1961 and 1973. What was happening between 1961 and 1973?
I don't know. Let me get out my
Civil
history.
Rights Acts. And most of you are going to be more offended about me calling you cowards or saying the word fuck than you are about the fact that you have literally screwed at least 2 generations. Because guess what? We're still going to work 70 hours a week because we don't have another choice. Lunch breaks? What are those?
It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. Family time? Coming home? You know what I do 6 days a week most of the time? I come home, I go to sleep, I get up, and I go back to work. I literally, like, and he can vouch for this. He's here before I am.
Yeah. And my drive is actually shorter than yours. By quite a bit.
Yeah. I walk in, I eat, like, he sees me eat 5 days a week. I walk in, I eat, we do this show, I get off the show, I go to bed, I wake up 6 hours later and start the whole thing over. And that's if I fall asleep right the second I go to bed.
Which you don't, because you text me.
Oh, yeah.
I know you
Like,
don't
what's
fall
my
asleep.
average sleep time? 3.5 hours?
I was going to say 4, but probably 3.5.
But we're lazy and we're entitled and we want the world. No, we want a fair shot. There's the difference. We want the buying power you had. We're $20, bought something. But you don't understand this. You just understand, well, y'all listen, lazy, entitled sons of bitches. All right. Wipe your own ass in about 5 years. Because us lazy, entitled sons of bitches are too busy trying to feed our family.
Sorry.
I'm done. I'm done.
Most of that was my fault.
Yeah, it was. You got me. You started the boomer trail. But tell me one thing I said that was wrong.
I'm offended that you said fuck.
Get the fuck over it. Yeah. I'm serious. Tell me something I said that was factually inaccurate.
Is it really 5 days a week that I see you eat?
Probably.
Yeah.
Until we go back to
Yeah.
recording all the episodes. Like, sorry, in case you didn't know this yet. New episodes are going to be debuting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's all Lucas's fault because he has to go back to being, a student.
I'm expecting that to change.
We're also going to do another podcast once a week about Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, literally, because how many times do I get off work and I run in, like, you're here?
Yeah. Yeah. I got here before you at least 3 times this week.
Yeah, and I'm literally running and taking my work clothes off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking my shirt off to throw another shirt on while I'm shoving food down and turning computers on. Like, it's not an actual joke. People think it's a joke of going, there's no way you work 18 to 20 hours a day. Yes, I do. Granted, well, your podcast is just a hobby. It's just an option. You don't have to do that. If you take that out, even if you took it out,
Yeah.
I leave I say house, I live in a hotel room at the moment.
Yeah.
I leave at 7 to 7:15. And I walk through the door, 8:30, 8:45 every day?
Yeah. Yeah.
So right there's 13 hours.
And it's not just Greg either. I mean, I don't have a family, so, I can't really complain as much.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the problem. It gets hard because it's like your kids want, like.
But I get to work at 8:15, 8:30.
Yeah, because I text you when you're driving to work.
Yeah.
Like, we're both driving to work at the same time.
And I get here around 8:15,
Yeah.
8:30, just before you do. and then I get home probably around midnight, 12:30
Yeah.
sometimes.
I was like, because generally it's midnight. Because it used to be your do not disturb kicked in at midnight.
I miss my hobbies.
Oh, that's the thing. Your do not disturb kicked in at midnight, and it used to piss me off sometimes because I'm like, you just left. Turn your do not just like. Are you kidding me? I know you're driving home right now.
Actually, it kicks on at 11. You're on a grace period. From 11 to 12.
Oh, gee, thanks. Seriously, it's like you think about this and you're like, we legitimately work. And granted, some boomer's going to say this is a hobby. It's a hobby because it offends you. Because guess what? This is how Steven Crowder started, and you're over there. Sorry, not sorry. Well, you're just a leftist liberal. No, I'm the most. What?
What is the difference between a hobby and a job?
One pays you and one doesn't. Actually, this has paid us. Therefore, this is a job.
So I can start saying now that I work 2 jobs.
Yes, you can. And if you want 50% of it, you get $4.27.
Still waiting on that return.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Seriously, what's the difference between a job and a hobby? A job pays you. Generally speaking, you hate your job and you love your hobby.
That's not true. I don't hate my job. It's okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's okay.
I hate half my job.
There are some days where I hate it.
I hate my job when we're not busy.
You hate your job when you're not able to do your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate my job when...
Like, I towards the end, I actually hated being a cop. Like, as bad as that sounds, I had nothing left to fight for.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, you had the community, you had this, you had that, and you had... No, I really didn't.
Yeah.
Like, after I was no longer around certain people doing certain things,
yeah,
I couldn't validate a reason to stay. And I think I stayed a year and a half longer than I meant to.
Yeah.
Because of the people. 2 years. I stayed 2 years longer than I meant to.
Yeah, because I remember when you started to, I remember when the attitude changed. Like when you were ready to get out, but you didn't realize it yet.
I probably didn't.
I remember that.
Like, I legitimately probably didn't realize I was done. But the people affected that.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't fighting for a system. I was fighting for the person standing next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And once those people were gone, it's not that anybody else standing next to me, and once they got replaced, was any different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like their life mattered less, but there wasn't a connection there. Like, my partner and I, like, we spent, almost 2 years side by side every day of the week. And partners got changed and stuff got changed, and it wasn't like I didn't have that connection there anymore.
Right.
Hell, I'd probably still be there if that was still my partner.
Yeah.
In all honesty. Because I wasn't fighting for a system at that point. I was fighting for the person standing next to me.
Yeah.
And I that once that was gone, I was gone. Like, I kept it together for another, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then it was like, why am I doing this? Like, I despise putting all this shit on and doing what I'm doing. Because you walk around with that body armor on, and you're like, it's not if, it's when I take another round. So, granted, my job now. And everybody's like, oh, car salesman. I'm like, I sleep better. I sleep about the same amount of hours, but I sleep better at night. And I'm a car salesman. Granted, I'm the most honest car salesman you'll ever meet.
At least you're not a lawyer.
That's true. Y'all be some dirty bastards just out to make money. Man, I should, like, you could almost interchange lawyer and boomer.
What?
You could almost interchange lawyer and boomer.
know some of both that are entitled
There you go.
and lazy. I know a lot of lazy lawyers. There are two kinds of lawyers that I hate, like absolutely hate, and just like hate dealing with. Number one, the ones that are actually willing to screw over their clients with like lie to their clients and screw them over financially. The second ones, and this is kind of a subset, they just don't do anything. Like they will not do any work at all.
And they still make way more money than I will ever see.
Yeah. And I've texted you about the second group.
Yeah.
Like you've gotten those texts.
I could name a couple.
But those messages where I message you and I'm like, I put in 30 hours on this one project.
Yeah.
They put in less than 2. Like,
yeah.
I know they put in less than 2.
I know. And the funny part is I could probably name most of them by name. It's the actual sad part. Oh. All right. Tell the people what social media you have left.
I'm on the Twitter.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think anything else is coming back yet.
How you get banned from things and I don't.
I'm on. I don't know how you don't get banned.
I don't get banned.
I miss reading your comments and thinking, oh, here it comes.
Because you can see the setup from a mile away.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, and then you will text me like 4 hours later. Like he used to text me and goes, have you read your Facebook? I'm like, no.
Light fuse, run away.
Light fuse, run away.
I'm on the Twitter. I see tweets. That's about it.
I'm going to start lighting fuses on your Twitter.
Okay. If it gives me an opportunity to get some memes, okay.
That's the greatest text I miss about you being on Facebook. Was, have you read your Facebook recently?
There were some that were like, Greg, what did you do?
Because I'm like, you have 470 comments. On what? What you posted this morning. It's 11.
Less than 2 hours old.
Yeah. There was one that really was like less than 2 hours old and I had over 500 comments. And I'm like,
how do I get banned?
Because I asked the question. That's how you get banned. I asked the question.
Is it like too big to fail? Is that what it is?
If I'm too big to fail, we've got an issue. Because we need to drastically reassess what too big is.
Like you've absorbed so much of the market share that they can't ban you.
I really did. There was a couple days that, because I used to have Convince Me Otherwise.
Yes. Is it Convince Me Otherwise? Was that like a hashtag that you were using?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like Change My Mind.
No, it wasn't Change My Mind. It was Convince Me Otherwise.
Basically the same thing.
It's the same thing, but it was started from a different precipice. And I used to like ask a question before I went to bed. I'd make a statement and I'd say, convince me otherwise. I would wake up to 200 to 300 comments. And we all talked about how much I sleep.
Yeah.
And then 4 or 5 hours later, Lucas would text me and be like, have you looked at your Facebook? I'm like, nope. Light fuse, run away. Kind of like there's no good way to clear a stairway. It's the same thing. You know the good way to clear a stairway? And I stole this, but I told you something pretty similar to this. You know the good way to clear a stairway? You walk outside, you call it an F-18 Super Hornet, you put a 500-pound JDAM on that stairway, and then the motherfucker's clear. You destroy everything in it. I almost wish you'd make another Facebook just so I could get this text again. Have you seen your Facebook?
If I don't get it back at the end of the month, I'll be making another one. It'll be limited use.
Quit posting offensive memes. That's it right there. I don't post memes.
But I need the memes. You don't understand. Have I not been?
No,
like
he
a-
really has been
I-
having me
I've been
withdrawal.
like-
I'm having to send him stuff.
I have been like a
find.
druggie on withdrawals. Like
Yes.
I-
It's been hilarious.
if I don't get something from you guys, I make sure to text you every morning. One of you has figured that out, and it's not you.
Sorry, I'm busy. I
That's fair.
don't have a nice cushy job. If she ever hears this, she's gonna kill both of us because
She doesn't listen.
I know. But she texted me in the middle of the show and was like, "I don't listen, but I'm glad."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's like obviously because you're
Really?
texting us in the middle of the
yeah,
show.
obviously. Oh,
We need to come up with like a nickname for her, like on the show.
Jessie,
Jet.
because she reminds me of Jessie from Toy Story.
Okay. Jessie.
Yes,
Jessie. Okay.
Jessie. We have a friend named Jessie.
Jessie. I'm gonna
She
change-
reminds me from Jessie. Like,
I'm gonna change her nickname like in the conversation. It's gonna be Jessie.
because she reminds me of Jessie from Toy Story, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Think about
And
that.
I don't know why either.
I don't know why, but she reminds me of Jessie from Toy Story.
That's so weird. Wow. What social media? We're
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube,
Twig.
Twitch. It's Twitch.
Twig Talk.
TikTok. Did I screw it up?
Twig Talk. You almost screwed it up.
Oh, I almost screwed it up. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. If there's a social media out there, I'm probably on it. And it's probably under Greg J. Ingle, Jerry G, J-I-N-G-L-E. Also, we have a Facebook page for the podcast, Qualified Immunity Podcast on Facebook. Also, it's on YouTube. But my page and QI's page are the same page. So follow one, follow the other. This podcast is on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, Overcast, and about any other podcast you could possibly, any other podcast platform you could possibly ever use. I want to make a special shout out to our host, Captivate. Captivate has been, I'm not kidding when I say the most amazing host of all time. Phenomenal. Because I'm like, I wrote the RSS right? And they're like, yeah, but Apple got mad at you over a number. Like, I'm not kidding. Captivate, special shout out to Captivate, who hosts our podcast.
I was hoping I wouldn't hear about that again.
That's because you heard about that for 9.5 hours.
I know. It's just one of those things that just, it's so stupid.
But a special shout out to Captivate, who hosts this podcast. Again, follow me on social, add me on social, follow the podcast, like, subscribe, and review. Ratings and reviews do awesome things. Right now, we have a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I don't know what it is on Spotify because I can't really see it. And the rest of them just make it too confusing to find out. So, but like, subscribe, download. That is what fuels this podcast. That's what pushes us forward. And with that being said, Lucas.
Vote gold. Vote bold. JoJo 2020. The website is joe20.com.
Joe20.com.
JO20.
JO20. I'm going to end this podcast the same way I end every podcast with my favorite quote of all time from my favorite music festival in the entire world. Live today, love tomorrow, and unite forever. Until Valhalla, guys.